Last week was an amazing week trading gold. Called about 4 to 5 trade, and I had about 4 wins. I think I had just one loss, 20 pips, and then had about 4 wins. So in this video, I'll be breaking down this trade. I'll be breaking down the reason why I called the setup. I'll try my best to explain it in details for better understanding. So let's quickly look at the charts. Let's look at gold. So I'll go straight to 30 minutes time frame because I trade the 30 minutes time frame. So this was the first trade we took. This was Monday, I think. Let me see. Okay, on Tuesday. I already posted a breakdown on this particular trade. So we'll move to this next trade. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's take a look at this trade on gold. This is a buy setup on gold. Now, if you know me very well, I work with structure. I work very well with structure. Market structure play a very vital role in my trading, so I don't neglect it, right? So when you take a look at this market, let me put it this way. Now the ideal setup here, I was looking for price to break above this resistance zone for a buy. That was all I was looking out for, because this market is on an uptrend. So I was looking out to see price break above this resistance to take a buy trade. Now I had these two resistance in mind, this first resistance and this second resistance. Now when you take a look at your left hand side, you can see we have some space to fill. The first thing I consider before I take a trade is, do we have enough space for price to fill? Do we have enough range for price to fill? Is there any obstacle, maybe a strong resistance or a strong support close to my entry price? So I put that into consideration first. Then the second thing I like to look out for is my entry zone. Okay, how can I take this trade? Where do I intend to take this trade? What do I need to see before I take this trade? So these are the most important thing I look out for before I take a trade, right? Now, first of all, we have this range for price to fill. Secondly, where can I take this trade from? You can see this massive push up to the upside. This alone look very bullish, very bullish. So the ideal thing to do is to wait for price to break above a key, maybe a minor resistance or minor support to capitalize on, right? Now, what did I do here? I waited for price to break above this resistance, because I knew if price break above this resistance, then we're definitely going to trade above this high. You can see. Now, I had these two minor resistance in mind. Immediately price broke above this resistance, you can see price, this 30 minutes candlestick, when you look at it, you can see it's closed just around this second resistance, right? Because this 30 minutes candlestick before the breakout candlestick, you can see it's closed below this resistance. At first, I wanted to take the buy just immediately after this previous 30 minutes candlestick closed above the resistance, but unfortunately it didn't close above the resistance. So following my rule, I don't take this type of trade. So it must close above the resistance before I take the trade. Now immediately this next 30 minutes candlestick closed above this resistance zone, I took my buy trade. That was what I did. I took my buy trade. Now I used 15 minutes time frame for my stop loss. I used the current 15 minutes low for my stop loss. That was what I did, and then I went for my take profit just above this high, and you can see how we smashed this trade. This is about 70 pips. We caught 70 pips on this trade. So it's just a simple setup. The first thing I saw, this bullish trend, this one here, this bullish trend, right? The aggression, this bull aggression here, you can see the bulls they were coming in with a lot of force, and then this was my number one confirmation. And then the next thing, the range price needs to fill, price needs to break above this high, because we believe that price needs to make a new high, right? Then thirdly, the next confirmation I had was to break out above this minor resistance, and then boom, I entered my buy trade. Now the next setup is this one. Now I called this trade on Wednesday. Now I first of all called a buy trade here around this place. Now that buy trade was not ideal because I didn't properly wait for the setup to form completely. I called the trade immediately, and funny enough, that trade triggered the stop loss like about 2 pips and then reversed. But we closed that trade even before price get to our stop loss. I think we closed around 25 to 30 pips, if I'm not mistaken, right? But then again, price still hits the stop loss, and then I waited for the setup to form properly, and immediately this setup formed properly. I took my buy trade again. Now, why did I take a buy trade on gold? First of all, gold created this support zone. Now immediately price created the support zone, I first of all considered this range price need to fill. That was the next thing I considered. I was like, okay, since price has already created a support zone, do we have a lot of range? Do we have a range this bullish momentum need to fill? That's the next thing I consider. Now when you take a look at these cells, you can see that this is actually a good range for price to fill. So the ideal setup was to take this buy up to this high, but I don't really hold that long, so I just prefer to just go for my 50, 60, 70 pips, and then I'm out, right? Now I already had this in mind that okay, if I am to take a buy here, price has the probability of price trading back to this high is about 80 to 90%, right? Now, so the next thing I want to do, or I want to see price now give me an entry confirmation. And how can I get this entry confirmation? By waiting for price to break above a resistance. Now, if price created a support, and then we created a minor resistance, and then immediately price broke above this resistance, I took my buy trade, and then boom, this ended up is a successful trade, right? Now the next trade is this one. Now this trade is very, very simple. First of all, we have this bearish candlestick. This bearish candlestick is just too big that there was no buy activity, there was no bullish activities inside that bearish candlestick. So this means that price is imbalanced, right? Because for this market to work properly, there must be buy and sell activity. You understand? Now this bearish candlestick only means that okay, there's an imbalanced price action around the zone, meaning price needs to fill up the candlestick, right? That was the idea of this setup. Now, having known that price needs to fill this bearish candlestick, because we believe that this bearish candlestick is imbalanced, right? Now the next thing I waited for price to create an entry pattern for me to take my trade, and immediately price created this minus resistance. We broke above the minor resistance, and then we retested, and then we broke above this second minor resistance, and then I took my trade. So now let me explain this. This is actually market structure. Like I said, I always like to flow with market structure. Price created this low, and then we pushed up to create a new high, breaking above the previous high, creating a new higher low. And then after price creates a new higher low, if you have watched my course, my fabulous course, I took my time to explain market structure. So if you had digested that information in that course, then you definitely understand what I'm saying here. Now immediately price creates a higher low, we believe that price needs to create a new higher high. So it's either price creates a new higher high or creates equal highs. Either price creates a new higher high or we create equal highs. You understand? Now that belief made me to take a buy just above this high, because I believe that price needs to create a new higher high, and also price needs to fill this bearish candlestick right here. And you can see how we smashed this trade. Now this is 60 pips, this is 60, and this is 70. So this is 190 pips, 190 pips. Very, very good. For me, I made a lot of profits from this setup, and I believe you all made a lot of profit, right? Yeah, so I want you all to share this video, leave a comment, and then you can also leave your questions. Also, if there are stuff you feel I need to add, to make these breakdown videos much more better, you can also drop it in the comment section. Thank you.